Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome to level 19 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, a brand new gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. Since we're technically in our first year still, we're still new. Once we hear the year roll, we're kind of just, the big boys. Anyway, I am Jeremy, and I'm here with my two compadres. As usual, I have David.
What up?
Great to hear that voice again. And we have Cory.
The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world.
That voice, not so much, and I don't know where that's from.
Come on, you guys are PC guys. That's Half-Life 2.
Do you think
the
I've
G
ever played that game?
You see, the fact that I might not know Half-Life.
Greats.
Yeah,
Half-Life,
great.
Half-Life 3's coming, right?
No. Actually, 2021. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, I guess they say that it's been coming for like 15 years, though, right?
Yeah.
So, everyone, hope we welcome you into the new year. Hope you had a good new year and you've been enjoying this very interesting first week of January. We're recording this after some very interesting events happened, but this is not a podcast that covers those events or types of events. We cover other events, gaming events, as you all know,
and
the
boxing
important stuff.
And what?
Boxing.
You're referring to the Nate Robinson, Jake Paul spectacle that happened in the late 2020. Sometimes we'll cover I guess, I don't know, social stuff if it's cool, but not really. We're mostly about games. So we thank you for joining us. We hope that you've stayed and you didn't immediately click off with all that stuff going on. We have a brand new year, brand new ideas we are bringing, brand new energy we are bringing to this thing. We are very glad to have you with us. But without further ado, I think we're going to jump in to the flow of the show. And that starts with our first segment, our news segment, Morning Announcements. Now, for our morning announcements, we have 9 items on the deck. Let's get through them. News item number 1. Xbox PS5, they came out last year. You may not have noticed because you probably don't have one, or you might. But they were scalpers. And they were able to resell 60,000 consoles in the month of November, worth $23 million. Guys, I got my hands on an Xbox, not a PlayStation 5. Cory, you were able to get your hands on a PlayStation 5, not an Xbox. What do you make of these goons and what they're doing here?
I hate it.
You hate it?
I hate it. Like, I get that, part of the blame can go on Xbox and Sony because, they didn't make enough consoles. But for people to go out of their way to get a limited item just to resell it at, 1.5 double times the value of it, it's just, it's upsetting that they have that kind of goal to rip people off just to make money.
Yeah.
It's greed, just straight greed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super unfortunate. You want people to be able to buy the new consoles and enjoy them. I know there's been a lot of kids this holiday that didn't have that PS5 or Xbox under the tree because the parents could not get the system,
Right.
And that's terrible because some of my best memories are opening up like a GameCube or an Xbox at the time, when they first came out. So This really sucks. And you know what? What can you do? It's capitalism. And that's the way the system works. So, I mean, unless the companies start taking like a better stance against it, like Walmart, like when it first came out, hey, only one per customer, there's nothing you can really do.
Yeah. Have you guys ever tried going to a store or someplace launch day, buying multiple consoles so you can try to upsell them on eBay or something like that?
Not once. I've never even thought of it.
No, I've never scalped a console. This is like one of the first ones I ever got the day of.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've did that before. So, I kind of understand.
I can't believe you.
Which one and how much?
Cory, you wouldn't believe which one and how much.
The Wii.
Is it the Wii?
Yeah,
because the Wii was the hottest console, and it was, let's say, it came out at 300. Did you get 600 for it?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I doubled my money on it enough to I could afford to just keep the other one. I just kept the other one.
Yeah. I mean, some family needed it for their kid.
Right. And it was on that one that I was able to play the venerable Zelda Twilight Princess.
I mean, at that point, you became Black Santa for that family.
Hmm. Well, I mean, they paid twice as much as it was worth, so I wouldn't say it was Santa. But
you were Krampus. Yeah. You were Krampus.
Right.
I've sold some things for a profit. I've sold amiibos and Funko Pops.
Nice.
Those things kind of have more of a predetermined like rarity, especially Funkos. They're not making as many. The PS5 is going to be out in a year and everywhere. Yeah. So that kind of sucks. They're able to take advantage of that very, very beginning hype. So
I think that's kind of different, like a whole resell factor, which is, I think that's fine. But if you're going out of your way to get a bunch of them at launch to resell them, it's a little different.
Yeah, I wasn't using bots, so I had to wait 16 hours outside of Toys R Us to do it. So I put in the sweat equity.
I think you earned your money.
Yeah.
It's almost like the family paid you to wait, which is totally fine.
Yeah,
that actually wasn't that good of a rate per hour, was it? Wow. Someone do quick math here. 16 divided by 300 divided by 16. Somebody
just doing it so easily and effortlessly.
Where's the calculator on this computer?
Right. News item number 2.
Let me go to Google.
Perfect Dark.
300.
Do you guys remember that game? Maybe you do. Maybe you don't.
Unfortunately.
We'll say you shouldn't, but it got revealed they're remaking it. I'm assuming did you get done with the math there?
Yeah. It was quick maths, as the kids call it these days.
Right.
You actually made $18.75 an hour, which that's not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
They paid a premium. Good work, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect Dark.
Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious that none of us care really. But it is something that happened. Guys, you want to offer any opinions on the Perfect Dark reveal?
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
I'll say this really quick. The Perfect Dark game is being made by the Coalition, which is a brand new studio. This is their first game, and I know they have some big talent in that studio. So while we might have not liked Perfect Dark before, I think they might be able to do some things with this game. I'm going to give it a fair shake. Obviously, it's going to come out on Game Pass. There's no reason not to download it and at least try it from this new developer.
Right.
If it's literally just the name and everything else is different, sure.
Well, I think they're going to keep Joanna Dark.
Right.
She's cute.
Okay. News item number 3. It was revealed through analysis and reports last year that video games now make more than sports and movies combined. Cory, you got some numbers for us on this one?
Yeah. Video games made $180 billion in 2020, while the movie industry brought in $100 billion, and sports brought in $75 billion. So back to quick maths, that's $5 billion more that video games have made.
Wow.
Right. Which I think, honestly, it was just the perfect year for it, right? It was just the perfect year for it. Yeah. Nobody could go to sports. No one could go to movie theaters. People are buying games like crazy. It was just, this will be an outlier, I think. Outlier. Right. You're not going to see this in future years.
Well, not
unless you guys disagree.
Soon.
Right, maybe 2021.
No, I mean, I could see it happening, but I don't see it anytime soon, unless we have some other quarantine crap.
I see it in maybe about 10 years.
That's fair.
Where it like surpasses it permanently, where it's the main. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. I think movies, they'll do whatever, but you have all these streaming services. I think people, especially younger people, really have no investment in sports. So they're not going to be going to games and they're not going to be watching any of them really. So, and among them, there's way more interest in esports than, Big Four sports or something like that. So I could see it 10 years from now.
And same thing with movies. You see WB, for instance, going per pretty much HBO Max and the movie theater. And I would honestly, unless it's a huge, big budget movie, I want to see that at home, where I can pause, where I can stop, where I can, watch it in a couple of days. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The movie theater etiquette, it's just getting worse.
Yeah, that's too. People haven't been home trained, I guess. It's a very old timey, way of explaining it, I guess. News item number 4. Guys, there was a masterpiece revealed to us in 2020. And it's called the KFC console. It was revealed, and it is a glorious machine that is both able to play video games in prime, high quality performance and keep your chicken warm. Guys, I mean, I can go over the specs of it real quick here. Apparently, it's going to be powered by an Intel i9 10900K CPU. It's going to have NVIDIA GPU chips in it, so it can do ray tracing, 4K with support of up to 240 hertz. It's also supposed to be VR compatible. And I believe what I see here that the graphics cards are coming from Asus, which is partnering with NVIDIA that makes their graphics cards and stuff like that. Guys, are you excited? Are you pumped up for the KFC console?
Yeah. I really hope this actually takes off, because that'd be great.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm sick of keeping my chicken warm with my back warmer. So it's time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an incredible piece of tech on its own. When you include the chicken warming element to it, that's where it's like, oh, okay, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen.
And to be fair, it looks better than both the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 in terms of console. It looks
right.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
They should not have been able to come in this hard and it looked that easy with consoles that have been out for years and years.
They knocked it out the park. And I'll tell you what, while Popeyes was busy making chicken sandwiches, KFC was busy putting together one of the greatest gaming consoles the world will ever reckon with.
And a great Lifetime movie.
Yeah, oh my, I don't even want to talk about that.
Okay.
It's sad.
They're trending up is what we're saying.
Yes.
That's fair. You're correct.
Excuse me. News item number 5. According to Google Trends, Among Us took the top spot for most searched game of the year. And they actually gave the top 10. It was followed number 2 by Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout. Number 3, Valorant. Number 4, are we saying Genshin or Genshin Impact?
Hard G.
Number 5, you say what?
No, you're good. Genshin.
Oh, okay. Try to make sure. Number 5, Ghost of Tsushima. Don't know how that's number 5. Number 6, Animal Crossing. New Horizons, I guess, is the one they're referring to. Mm-hmm. Number 7, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Number 8, The Last of Us 2. Number 9, surprising here, Madden NFL 21 sucks. And number 10, Jackbox. Are there any surprises on this list for you?
Yeah, the real surprise for me is Jackbox. I didn't think it was that popular, and I'm upset Madden is on there. That's about it.
Yeah.
My real surprise is Valorant. Now that's made by Riot Games, kind of like to fight with CS:GO for that kind of audience, but I didn't think it latched on to people like that. I thought it came and it kind of kept a core group of people, but then it went. I don't hear people talking about that at all anymore.
It's still pretty strong.
Yeah. The one that I was somewhat surprised about until I critically thought about it was the Madden one. And that's just because I thought, oh yeah, that's right. There was all that noise and the hashtags fix Madden and a hashtag NFL drop EA. It was trending #1 on Twitter for like a couple of days when they were doing all that stuff. So that kind of makes sense of why it's listed on here. Yeah. We have news item number 6. Epic Games went and bought a shopping mall to convert into their headquarters. They're trying to do the Apple thing, I guess, or like the Riot Games thing, where you just own a huge parcel of a building and land, and you build a campus for your workers to go around and I don't know, ride Vescos and sip lattes. What do you guys make of this?
That's hilarious. Hilarious. Yeah. I mean, I would like to work on games in a shopping mall.
Right, as is. The shopping mall as is, right? Like, don't even have to restructure it or anything.
Don't change it, don't.
Yeah.
Well, they are changing. It's not opening up until like 2024. They're remodeling it. They're going to make it a nice office.
That's upsetting. I don't want it anymore.
But they'll probably do the Google thing. They'll put a slide in there, some nap pods, stuff like that. So it'll still be cool, just not mall cool.
Ridiculous. I want someone developing the next Quake in the back area of a Jared's. Okay, that's what needs to happen. That's how you make great games. News item number 7. Sony discontinues production of the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro in Japan, their homeland. Now, why on earth would they do something like this?
All right, so the PS5 ain't doing very well, and they want it to, so they're getting rid of the 4s, so you kind of have to get a 5.
It's tricky trick.
It's shiesty stuff.
Now, they are keeping the PS4 Slim, but they're getting rid of 2 of the big models. I don't think it'll work, though, because the Japanese are notorious for liking small, sleek consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys have seen the PS5, pictures of it or anything. Thing's gigantic. It's not sleek. Right. It's all up in your face, and it doesn't really fit with their culture. So I don't know. I think we need to see a PS5 Slim like ASAP for them to really buy into it.
You think that happens within a year?
No.
Yeah. Okay. News item number 8. Speaking of the PlayStation 5, an Xbox console experience survey reportedly asked Series X and Series S owners if they wish their controller had features found on the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller, including things like haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. Now, I haven't checked my email associated with my Microsoft Xbox account to see if I got a survey. I can say for a fact, no bleep, you want stuff in your controllers besides what you gave us, which is basically the exact same thing with just a share button in the middle. I guess good on them for asking the question and also kind of trolling that you need to ask the question. This to me comes across as, hey, do you guys want us to innovate? And it's like, yeah. Could you do that, please? What do you guys think?
I think this puts the whole like controller ecosystem in kind of like a shambles, because Xbox sells their controllers now for what, 60?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Because Sony went up to 70. So if Xbox does add all this stuff, are they going to be able to keep it at that $70 price tag? It sounds like a lot of big features in it.
They'll have an excuse to raise it.
Right. And none of these mention the actual like battery, like already pre-installed battery in the controller.
Right.
They refuse to ask that question.
Right. Yeah. I've seen people make the excuse of, well, the AA batteries actually last longer than the internal batteries. And it's like, right, it's not about that. Batteries aren't great for the environment. So
now there was a story today.
Right.
Yeah.
It was breaking news that a Duracell exec said they had a deal with Microsoft.
Now
that's getting kind of like, no, it didn't happen. But when there's smoke, there's fire.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to put it in here because it's already kind of debunked. But I mean, what else are they going to do? Say, yeah, that's true.
Right.
I mean, every Xbox, it does come with a Duracell, not an Energizer.
Right.
Nah. News item number 9. There was a news report that Microsoft, at one point, back in the day, was interested in purchasing Nintendo, Square, EA, and Midway Games definitely dodged a bullet with that last one. Guys, this is interesting. This is kind of funny too. This is around when they were coming in with the Xbox, right? So
yeah,
they're like, oh, we got to do our own thing. Or can't we just buy? We're so rich. Can't we just buy one of these game thingies and just get into games that way?
Well, I can give you the little pitch that they said. I don't remember what exactly the story was about, but he was saying they went to Nintendo and they said, listen, your hardware is not always the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have any software. So why don't we make the system and you provide the games? And he says they got laughed out of the building for an hour straight. Like the pitch did not go well at all. Nintendo was not buying it. They were coming off the N64 and just about to launch the GameCube. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty much a no-go. I don't know anything else about the other three companies, but I'm assuming it was all the same. I think they said with Square, they offered them too little. And then Square got with Enix to make Square Enix. So, a lot of things happening back then. I think it's very interesting, though, because this is one of those things Nintendo fans always, they kind of dream about it, Like what would happen if Nintendo had a powerful console or if they went third party? Like, can you imagine what the next Zelda would look like? What Smash Bros would look like? Mario, like all these games, Pokemon on like a really high-tech, state-of-the-art console. And they'll never get it, but interesting to think about.
Yeah. Do you think, you said they got laughed out of the building for an hour. So do you think it took them an hour to walk out the building and as they walked, everyone laughed? Or do you
behind them, yeah.
Or do you think they tried to walk out and they were barricaded in until after an hour of them being laughed at and then allowed to leave?
That's the funnier one.
Okay.
I think it was just a pitch that was doomed to fail, and the Nintendo guys were looking at them like, this is ridiculous, and they had to finish their pitch. So, yeah.
That's nice.
Look, I think that was the better way to do things instead of, what they did with Mixer. They just kind of threw stuff at it at nothing, and it ended up being a huge downfall. At least this, if they did acquire Nintendo, they already had a good thing going.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, it's laughable.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the strategy they have is the same. Hey, we can't make good first-party games, so let's just buy places that do make good games. I hope they make good first-party games. So it seems like they're doing the same thing or the same strategy. It's worked for 20, 25 years, however long it's been.
Right.
But that is the end of the morning announcements, and we are moving on to the roundtable when we discuss a single topic that we have interest in, mutual interest. And I don't know, you guys may have noticed that there was a game not mentioned in that rundown of morning announcements, but it is the game that has captured the zeitgeist of gaming for all the wrong reasons. And that is the epically terrible launch of Cyberpunk 2077. If you guys don't know, which I would assume you do, but if you don't, I'll give a very, very brief, bring up to recent things that's been going on. So basically, CD Projekt Red had Cyberpunk 2077. They put out the game knowing that the game would suck on Xboxes and PlayStation 4s. People that had PlayStation 4s and Xboxes played it. They were like, hey, this sucks. And it sucked terribly. And so then CD Projekt Red issued an apology for putting out a terrible game they knew was terrible. And then PlayStation said, hey, your game is so terrible, we're going to take it off our store. By the way, we understand that we help promote No Man's Sky, but this is worse. So we're going to take it off our store and we're going to issue refunds. And Cyberpunk said, hey, okay, cool, that works. We're going to issue refunds too, with no actual detailed plan as to how they're going to release the refunds. And that pretty much leaves us to where we are now, where they're putting out patches to try to fix the game, but it still runs terribly. If you have a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, it runs better. And if you have a really strong PC, it runs better. But it still has plenty of bugs and issues and different stuff going on. So that's kind of the review, a summary of what's been going down. Guys, what is your impression of everything that's been going on? First, how about this? Let me ask you this question first. What is your new perception, if you have a new perception, of CD Projekt Red as a developer / company?
That's a great question, Jeremy. Now, previous level, I tried to start this thing called Gaming Gospel. It failed epically. No one remembers it, but I said one of my gaming gospels was CD Projekt Red is the friendliest consumer company out of anybody.
Here's the thing. I do actually remember that, because when all this was going down, I was reflecting on how wrong you were. So I actually do remember.
So you saw the future, is what you're saying.
No. What I'm saying is, as the future was unfolding, I remembered the past. And I said to myself in my mind, that didn't age well.
Wait, is that how memory works?
It did not age well.
Huh.
So I think my perception is, man, it's like multi-layered. Like, I think the actual developers of the game, the people that put their blood, sweat, and tears into the game, I don't think they went in there to deceive people. I don't think they were like, hey, let's just get this out. I think it came from higher ups saying, hey, this game has to come out before Christmas. We have to push it right now. You know, we'll handle the PR. We'll say it runs great on these systems. I think the developers of the game knew. They knew it wasn't going to run up to their standards, but they had no choice. And it's unfortunate they didn't have a choice, because this really hurt them in the eyes of consumers. You know, now I think they're labeled there in terms of like a Bethesda or an EA, where it's just like, these guys are jokes. You know, we don't like them as much anymore.
Right. David, what about you? What about your perception has changed, if it has, about CD Projekt Red?
Okay, so it hasn't really changed per se. Like, I still think they're the best consumer friendly, but this is just a really big crap shoot of just what happened. Like, honestly, they should have just delayed the game. And I agree with what Cory said. Like, I think it's like a higher up thing. Developers knew it wasn't going to be well, but they did what they had to do, and now we all have to deal with this. And it doesn't help that consumers were demanding it, saying, you know, who cares, put it out. You guys said it was going to come out years ago or whatever. And now that it's out, it has all these bugs and performance issues. Consumers have been sending death threats to people that work there. How that is so uncalled for, okay? Like, why is the gaming community being extremely toxic with this? Everyone saw this just blasphemy of a release coming. They should have done what they did with Halo and just skip and have it come out maybe next year. But now we have to deal with all this. They're doing what they can to update it and have it run better and fix all the bugs. I can only hope they're not dying of stress.
So yeah, I think I definitely share the sentiment. Like, there's always that, it feels like just toxic, parasitic bubble of the gaming community that thinks sending death threats and different stuff like that to people who are just trying to make a living and do their jobs that they're actually passionate about, that they think that's okay. And it's obviously never okay. And you mentioned Halo and them delaying that. There's a couple of things of people who are kind of, I don't know, let's use some really hip internet terms. There's an excuse going on for people who are simping for CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077 in regards to, oh, well, if they had, you guys got mad when they delayed Halo. I was one of the people upset that they delayed Halo, but I wasn't upset they delayed. I wasn't upset that they delayed it. I was upset that 6 weeks ago they said it was coming out.
Right.
And then they said, oh, no, it's going to have to take a year. How does it go from coming out in 6 weeks to having to take a year? Mm-hmm. Like, if, like, you know, and with Cyberpunk, it would have been the same thing. They delayed the game 3 times.
Right.
That time before, they delayed it a month, right? It was supposed to come out in November, and they delayed it to December. So you're telling me in November, you were working with whatever version of the game was, and you've been working with it, and you thought you could have it ready in a month? You honestly thought that? Like, you didn't. You just bought yourself time to make it not as terrible, probably, to just optimize what you can and then put the game out. But, you know, like, again, one of the things I was talking about, they never actually showed the game running on a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. It was always on a PC or some later high piece of tech. So it was never actually representative of what the game experience would be. They've done that a lot. Ubisoft are like criminals of that. It's accusations. They kind of did that with The Witcher 3 too when they put that out. But that was just more so about graphic fidelity. It wasn't about the actual performance of the game. So yeah, CD Projekt Red. I'm kind of Cory. I was part of the reason why I remember it is because I was in the choir with you singing. Okay. This is a great customer facing, and now I have to say, oh, you're like everyone else, and that's a bit disappointing.
Can they get it?
Okay. So I think the delaying was the middleman between the developers and the higher ups, whatever. I think they were getting these little pauses, like, hey, okay, we got another month, but eventually they kept saying no, we got to get it out. So I think it wasn't even close to being ready, the prior release dates. So I mean, yeah, the gospel is a little broken up now, but that's it. Or Cory.
I mean, I think the simple matter is it shouldn't have come out on PS4 or Xbox One at all. It should have been a next-gen game or a PC exclusive until they could have made it a next-gen game if that had to wait an extra year, because it obviously doesn't run good on those consoles. So that's the thing. I don't know. Do I blame them? Because it sounds like a lot of this was intentional for sure. They knew what they were doing, but at the same time, like you said, they're consumer friendly. They seem like good people. I really don't know what to make of it. Jeremy, is there a way that they can bring you back into thinking that? Or is this like you're forever scarred from them?
No, it's just like they're they're like EA Light or Bethesda Light in that way, right? Because
off of one thing though.
Yeah, I mean, like when we talked about how like great The Witcher is different stuff like that, how that was very pro-consumer in regards to the DLC and updates. But there were some things there, like I talked about the fidelity issue, the downgrades with the game coming out. There's been, and then talking about some of the social perspectives that has been aligned with GOG. There's some things with CD Projekt Red where you're like, ugh, right? Okay. And it's always been there a little bit. But again, I'm looking at it as you knew this game wasn't anywhere near as good, right? That's the thing. Either delay it so it can work on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, or just say it's a next-gen game. Now, if you say it's just a next-gen game, what happens is that most of the people who have been following this bleeping game for the past 8 years that still have these other consoles, they aren't going to be able to have that experience. Right. And so you're gonna shade them. Those are still going to be most of the people that buy the game, right? So you have that happening, but at least you don't have this insult that you've put out for people to pay their money for to get. You know what I'm saying? I think it's as simple as like an EA thing, right? You have the developers there that want to make this great, amazing experience, and then you have the producers, and you have the creative directors, and you have the C-suite and whoever there that is like, look, we've got to get this game out at this amount of time. Because we have to make it to whatever fiscal year it is. I'm just trying to figure out, like, I'm just confused because if it's supposed to run on next gen, did they know when the next gen systems were coming out? Did they know that they were coming out? When did they find out they were coming out in November?
Right.
Because
no one knows,
if they came out this year.
This was supposed to be a PS4 Xbox One game.
Yeah.
It is a PS4 Xbox One game.
Yeah.
So
yeah, what I'm saying is like, what if the new systems came out in April?
They would have been a horrible game for the majority of people.
So I mean, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't. I don't know. It's totally confusing.
Yeah, and if it was set to come out PS4, Xbox One, why is that the one it's running the worst on? You think they'd be whatever the word is? I can't think of it right now.
I mean, they're a PC company. That's the truth of it. Right? Like Witcher 1 was PC exclusive. Witcher 2 came out on PC first, and then only Xbox. And then Witcher 3.
I did not know that.
Witcher 3 ran well on consoles. I think maybe they had a little hubris where they're like, hey, we did great with Witcher 3. We can easily put Cyberpunk on these, no issues like we had with Witcher 3. I know it had issues, but it seemed like those were more quickly fixed and not really such a big deal. And with Cyberpunk, they've come to realize like, this was really tough.
Right.
And I don't think the ends justified the means. I think they lost more by doing this than they gained by having those sales.
Right.
You know, their stock
the 13
plummeted.
million copies they pushed.
Right. Now, you know, half of those were PC. So those people are probably fine to begin with. You know, it's buggy still, but it runs pretty well, I've heard. But yeah, those console sales, I don't think they should have done it because I think it hurt them more. You know, you hear about their stock dropping. The two CEOs lost like $1 billion. They're being sued currently.
Yep.
It was not a good thing for them at all.
Right. And don't forget, and we're talking about the delay, every single month or 2 month period of delay. Those developers that people are sending death threats to were also crunching. So they were working 16, 18-hour days, not seeing their family, not being able to spend time with them during a bleeping pandemic in order to get this game done.
Well, this game came out December 10th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it was released, it was extremely buggy. Those people were working through Christmas. They were working through New Year's, and they were crunching. They were putting in the 60 to 100 hours during those holidays.
Yeah.
It's a terrible situation for them. Like I said, I think in my heart of hearts, I believe it's the higher ups more than it was the actual, you know, director of the game. But you know, you got to blame them as a company. Right now, it's a black eye.
Yep.
So right now, I guarantee you, somebody's like, "I told you so." You know?
Oh yeah.
This is a big "I told you so."
Yeah.
Definitely. We'll get into Cyberpunk a little bit more, but we're going to move on to our next segment. Now, we're doing a little bit of rebranding here, changing things up. You know, new year, new me, so to say. So we usually have the "What You Playing" segment, but we figured, you know, how can we make this a bit more concise, pinpoint, so that we can really tell you about the games we actually want to talk about that we're playing, not just, you know, all of them and, oh, hey, I played this one and, you know, whatever, but just the ones we actually really want to talk about. So we've changed it to be a little bit more concise and quick, which is why it's called Quick Fire.
What?
And to start us off with Quick Fire,
No Scope 360
is in fact Mr. No Scope 360 himself, David. So David,
I mean, I used to do those a lot.
David, give us a quick fire of the games you want to talk about.
All right, so the biggest one is going to be Apex. The rank split happened like a week ago or whatever, so I grinded back up the plat, and they've just put out a new patch for some, you know, buffs and nerfs and stuff like that. And there's a new event. I forget the name of it. Something to do with the robot. I can never remember his name, but it's good. I like what the patch has done. And the other big one would probably be, I played a lot of what is that game? Super Mario Party?
Super Mario Party.
Yeah, with my son. He got that for Christmas, so we've been playing that a lot. I really like a lot of the mini games, and I like how it's just not just the board game. Like, you can go and just play the mini games, or you can like do surfing down on a kayak or whatever. And so I really like it, what they did with the game.
Nice.
That's quick. Boom. Who's next? Let's go.
Double kill.
Double.
Is that something you want to incorporate, or?
Cory, how about you just go and get this?
That's why I didn't run it. That's why I didn't run it by you beforehand, because I knew it would have been shut down.
Right.
So why go with it?
Well, because now it's out there in the ethos. You know, it's out there. My two quick fires real quick. Jeremy, you did a great Was It Worth It last level. That was a full level. On Call of Duty, I think you highly recommended it, saying everyone should go and pick that one up. So I did. Right? No, you did not recommend it, but I did buy it. It was on sale. I'm semi-enjoying it. I'm not really a Call of Duty guy. I buy them maybe once every 3 years, but this one seems okay. I haven't really jumped into zombies too much. I've been playing a little bit of multiplayer. I've been playing a lot of Prop Hunt, which, if anyone doesn't know what Prop Hunt is, it's two teams, and one team is disguised as items in that map. And you move your item around and you try to blend in with the environment, and the other team is trying to suss you out and shoot you up. And it's great. It's hilarious when you see a mop bucket running around the level and jumping over things. And then you have a couple different powers you can do. You can switch what item you are up to 3 times in a game. So you go from a mop bucket to a giant arcade machine that just sticks out like a sore thumb, and you know you're done. But been having a lot of fun with that. And the other game I want to talk about is the number 10 most searched for game on Google this year, Jackbox. I play Jackbox quite a bit, and I never really talk about it on here, so I just want to give it a little bit of love. I bought the new Jackbox Party 7, and it usually comes with 5, like, I would guess, party games, mini games that you can play that you all play on your phone. You go to a site, you type in, the code for the game, and you can all play just on your phone. You don't need 7 controllers to play with 7 people. A lot of them are word games. They might be a couple team games, but real simple things that you just different tasks on your phone. A lot of fun. I think Jackbox Party 7 had 5 really, really good games. The last one, number 6, there was only a couple good games. 7, though, really hit it out the park. Really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Quad kill. Jeremy.
Right. Okay, so the first game I really want to talk about is Doom Eternal. I talked about it before. I've been going through, playing some more of it. Really enjoying myself there. Again, the glory kills are great. They're fantastic. I really like the kind of scarcity and ammunition that they've held from even like the older Doom, where it's around, but it's not just everywhere, right? And the glory kills help you get more ammo. Chainsaw, able to just cut up zombies so you can get more ammo to shoot them up. There's so many different types of weapons and glory kills you can do. A nice little bit of platforming and puzzle solving as well. The bosses are great. The music is excellent. Really just digging my time in that. And then, of course, the game that I have been playing almost, I think, about 5 or 6 months now, but just love it every single second I spend in it even more. And that is Ghost of Tsushima. I am well into Act 2. I'm going around liberating all these different villages and places in the town. It is great. I am just eviscerating Mongols left and right like a boss, enjoying that all the time. It's a great game, great world, it's beautiful. The way the landscape changes as you move throughout the island is awesome. Yeah, it's a terrific game that definitely, it's great. It's just great. So that's the other game I wanted to highlight. I'll probably end up highlighting it a little bit more, some future ones as I go through beating it, just because I'm discovering new things. I discovered a little step back, do a little dodge step back, and then you come quick in with the sword and stab him right in the chest. It's like a 1-2 move. It looks absolutely vicious and brilliant. Yeah, man. Jin Sakai is the dude. He's the dude.
He's a great protagonist, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would say it's probably the most surprising thing about that game. He seems like a pretty basic dude, and you thought he would just be kind of like a blank slate, but no, he's got a great character arc.
Mm-hmm.
And me personally, I really felt for him that entire game.
Yeah.
Like weighing these two things, the entirety of the game, and I feel like I was definitely on his side the whole time. You feel the same way, like he's doing the right things, right?
Right. He is trying to do the absolute best he can to ensure the survival of his people.
Right.
Yeah.
No, great game.
Yep. All right, ladies and gents, that is quick fire. That is quick fire. That is also Cory interrupting me for the second time in a row. But that's quick fire. You guys let us know if you dig that. You guys let us know if you dig Cory interrupting me. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we get done, we will be back with Was It Worth It?
Sorry, boss.
You're good.
This level of the Thoughts and Players podcast was made possible by your support. If you're enjoying the podcast, please be sure to like, rate, and share the show, as well as contribute to our community questions and segments. Doing so helps the show grow, keeps our content engaging, and most importantly, makes sure your voice is heard. Thanks for tuning in. And now, back to the show.
And we are back with more Thoughts and Players. We are moving on, of course, to our favorite segment, your favorite segment. It is Was It Worth It? Where we talk about a game that we've been playing, our impressions, and whether we think the game is worth the dollar price. Now, we had an earlier discussion about Cyberpunk 2077, and you may think that, oh, well, it seems like that may be the game you would talk about on Was It Worth It? Well, you're right. That is the game we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Because it's the biggest game in gaming for all the right and wrong reasons. So this is, I believe, Cory, you were saying the second time in show history, and yes, we have a history as a show.
We do.
Where we've all played the game.
Correct.
Surprise.
The first one was
Streets of Rage.
Yeah, I think we all recommended that one. We all said it was worth it.
We did.
Can't wait for this one.
Boy, I have a feeling it's going to be a little diff. I think it's going to be a little diff with this one.
I don't think so.
So, let's see. We all have different levels of time investment in the game, let's say, right? Mm-hmm. So it gives us different perspectives. We all obviously come from different perspectives in regards to what games we usually will come and play, you know. But we all got a piece of the Cyberpunk. So was it worth it? Guys, how do we want to grade this out? Let's talk about how you want to grade some things out, because one of the things we were discussing, you know, when we had our meeting, we were talking about how we're going to make this show better for the listeners, is that we wanted to provide a bit more of a base, right? When we're talking about these games. So I guess the first thing that we should talk about with Cyberpunk is gameplay. That's an important element of a video game, guys.
Correct.
Yeah.
So through you guys' time, who wants to go? Let's say I'm going to start with David. I'm just going to make an executive decision.
Good.
Okay, boss.
I like it.
What has been your impression of the gameplay component of it so far?
Okay, so I have the least amount of time between us three. I have about 4 or 5 hours in. I haven't played it since we had the meeting. But gameplay itself was smooth, you know, for the most part. I only had one major bug, and that's why I stopped playing. But the only thing odd is, like, I'm so used to, you know, like battle royales and, you know, first person shooters, stuff like that. The movement seemed a little off. I really honestly don't know what it is. It just felt different. And I guess, you know, because I don't play RPGs, that might just be a usual thing. But I liked the interactions between everybody. You know, you could pretty much talk to anyone. And I liked the story of what I played so far. I picked the street rat guy, whatever.
That's Aladdin you're thinking of.
Yeah, what? Okay, no. But yeah, I picked Street Kid. I like the aura, you know, people having all these crazy tattoos and like attachments, and they really had a good idea, and they implemented it pretty good. The gameplay, it was good enough, in my opinion.
Okay. Cory, how about you? How are you liking the gameplay in the game?
Yeah, so gameplay means what? The shooting, the quest, the car driving, everything. Okay, so I guess I'll just run through the list then. I think the actual gunplay for an RPG is really good. You know, you got like your Fallout 4 and you got your Skyrim, which are the two big open world RPGs, and Outer Worlds, of course. I think this kind of trumps it in terms of how smooth the gunplay is and the overall movement. I really enjoy it. Now, I've got about 30 hours in, and I feel like the game really takes off. It did for me, at least. After about 20 hours, I was able to get a couple of the cyberwares, which are implants that you get in your body, and it gives you upgrades. So I was able to get a double jump, and I was able to get these like electric wires that come out of your hands, and that really changed the game for me. Now, I could approach missions a much different way. Instead of going in through the front door, I'm jumping on roofs, I'm jumping over things, I'm staying out of sight. And it's making the missions more dynamic. Now, the missions themselves are pretty fun. I haven't had one that's totally blown me away yet, but every mission seems like it's pretty well designed. Some of the side missions have been pretty cool. They've been just more than like kill here, kill this person. There's a lot of, and you see this with CD Projekt Red, there's a lot of story in all their missions. There's a lot of character in all their missions. And you feel things, even on small missions, even when you're taking out one cyber psycho, it has a little backstory to it. When this guy's depressed, you go there and it's got a little funny thing mixed with a little sad thing. So they do a really good job with that. Now, parts of the other gameplay, I think the driving's been pretty good. I just got off of Watch Dogs Legion, which I hated. So this is a vast improvement over that in terms of the driving. And then for everything else, the melee, while basic, it's still like my mode of fighting that I like best. So the gameplay to me has been not amazing, but I would say good to great. You feel the same way, Jeremy?
Yeah, I would say the the shooting, when you're comparing it to other like first person RPGs, specifically like a Fallout or a Skyrim, definitely trumps it there. I would probably give a nod to like Far Cry as far as the shooting feeling a little bit better. Or even like, even though it's a worse general overall game, like a Rage 2, as far as like how the shooting feels. But I think it's competent for what it is. I don't think it doesn't take away from the experience at all. As far as like the characters and different stuff like that, it's all interesting. It's definitely got its own energy, and its own kind of style. And the driving, I don't love it, but it's not egregious. It's fine. You know, I've not had more of the like really crazy exotic vehicles that are in the game. I've kind of been low to middle bar, so I'm interested to see how the driving kind of evolves and feels when you use those really crazy vehicles. But that's all been cool, and yeah, punching people feels pretty decent. Shooting people feels pretty good in the game. I never feel like in that game, I feel like there's always a good amount of ammunition around, which I like. I don't like being in a shooter where they're like, oh, yeah, this is a shooter, but you got to really work to find the ammunition to shoot. Just make it another game then. If it's a shooter, give me the stuff so I can shoot, you know? So I like that component of it as well. One thing that I don't like, you mentioned like the missions, all the missions have stories and stuff like that. I don't know how you feel about this, but this got me. We like, I understand that they want to build story and character and they write interesting dialogue. These people have got to shut the F up in this game. like these talking sessions, like I did the one mission with the Dex dude. I forgot which one, where you meet him in his limo and you go with him to the place in order to do the mission. I'm not sure if you did that one. I think it's one of the main missions. Yeah. That limo talking scene has to be like 5 or 6 minutes. Because I remember but why is it 5 or 6 minutes to begin with?
That's fair.
And that's in the car. You still have an additional minute and a half of talking to Jackie when you get out the car. And you want to know where Jackie is? Right down the effing street. So, I mean, there's certain things like that where to me it irks because I'm trying to get into the game. I'm trying to get into the pace of it. But I want to hear the story. I want to meet the characters. They're all, as far as what I've met, they're all interesting people. They're all interesting characters. But I don't want to talk to you for 6 minutes. So, you know, they didn't really have that kind of an issue in The Witcher, but there were somewhere it was leaning that way. You were like, okay, you're talking a good bit here, you know. And this one, it seems like it may be exacerbated a bit more. But overall, gameplay wise, not really having that much of an issue with it. Which I guess we can go to kind of another area that we're going to grade it on, and that is sound. I'll just go ahead and, since I was talking about dialogue and everything, I'll just rip into this real quick. The game, as far as how the guns sound, they sound fine. It's not Battlefield quality, but I don't think it's going to be that. They're kind of making up the weapons. But the guns sound fine. The dialogue and the voice acting, really good, really high quality stuff. The kind of ambient sound of the city, really good stuff. That's all pretty, I'm not going to say great or excellent, but it's really good. It's AAA quality, which is what you want in a game. I just don't want my dialogue to be 6 minutes. So what did you guys think of the sound? What was your impression?
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said. I'd just like to add that the music when you're actually in a fight is awesome. It really gets you pumped up. It really has a nice feel for how that battle's going. Now, obviously, it's all personal preference, but the music while you're driving a car, I hate it all. It's not my type of music, I guess. You know, a lot of it I think is made specifically for that game. It's not like they take artists and say, hey, we're putting this song. Obviously, this game takes place 57 years in the future. So apparently that's their brand of music. I do not like it, but everything else that you've echoed it sounds great. You know, voice acting's been legit. Everyone sounds good. I had an issue with Male V at first, but he's really grown on me. So,
yeah. I just iterate what you guys said. Everything sounding wise was good. I didn't see any issues with the voice acting to how they did it with the graphics. It all went well together. The fight music good. I only fought like one boss, and it was good. And the car music, actually, I was kind of a fan of it. And there's actually a song in there. It's in, I want to say Japanese, but it's like it has an otaku, I think is what they're called. It's like a high pitched girl voice, and they're just talking about wanting to get railed. I thought that was funny. But yeah, I think sound quality in this game is great.
Yeah, sound quality is great. So let's move on to the next one, which you mentioned sound and graphics. So your impression of the graphics, I guess, of the fidelity of it, of how it looks, because I think as far as like art or artistically, I think we're saying that it pretty much looks artistically interesting. But as far as like the graphics of it, what was your opinion on that?
Great. I like the style. I didn't see any tearing or like any obvious spots like okay, this isn't going to be important. We just can kind of just make this look okay. Like everything was well done, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Graphics for me is Jekyll and Hyde. I'm playing it on the Series X, so it looks great. If I played it on my Xbox One S, it'd probably look like a potato. So this is very much a kind of, skewed perspective. Right. But I think as far as what the intent of the graphics look like for the game, I think it's a very, very nice looking game. I think the way they realized Night City looks absolutely great when you take in some of the shots from the street and you look up at the skyscrapers and different stuff like that. Or if you're in kind of the rural areas, like the rural kind of, I don't know, out Badlands kind of area, actually reminded me a lot of Rage 2 as far as how that looks atmospherically, from an atmosphere environment kind of standpoint. Yeah, graphics on this are solid if you're PS5, Xbox Series X, or PC. That's all I got. That's the only place I can speak from. Cory, how about you? What were your impressions of the graphics?
Yeah, mine were a little bit more hit or miss. I think, like you guys said, the art style it's new, it's fun, it's very vibrant. I like the art style of the game. It's not, I wouldn't call it realistic, but it's close. It's close to realistic. But I don't know, some of the character models look just decent. The world around you, like everything directly in front of you seems like, hey, that's pretty good. But when you start seeing, the things around you, it seems more basic than I would have thought. The level of detail, I don't think is there. A lot of the buildings seem flat. The cars seem flat. The stands that they sell food, it's just not as much detail as I would have liked. But the detail that's there, It looks pretty good. It pops. But I thought I was going to get a little bit more. I don't think this fits into the graphics, but with the world, it's a lot less populated than I would have thought. I don't know if that changes on a more powerful PC. I'm not sure if that's like one of the things, but the streets,
I don't remember it being populated like a lot.
Yeah. The streets feel mostly empty. Definitely not in terms of like a GTA where there's cars nonstop and there's people walking down the sidewalk at all times. You can go a little while without seeing a car or another person, or you might see one car, one person. So I'm a little disappointed by that. But overall, the graphics, I would say, are above average, nearly, 70% of the time.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that, especially like me thinking back to Mafia Definitive Edition and the way they kind of reimagined that city. And part of it was to make it vibrant. So there's people, there's cars, there's an atmosphere, and it's not as much there in Cyberpunk, I think, as we expected and probably as they sold. So
right, you get like these small zones. You get like a shopping little area, and there's plenty of people in there, and there's a guy playing guitar, and that's cool. But just generally the streets, a little lackluster for me.
Right. So that leads us to our last criteria on this here, replayability. Cory, you've got 30 some hours into this, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to put another 30 into this?
Actually, I think I will. I don't know. I know the main story is a little bit shorter than, say, like The Witcher 3. So I don't know how close I am to beating the game, but I am interested in going all the way with it, finishing the main missions, And there are a lot of really good side missions. I guess without spoiling anything, you kind of start off on a path of like having 3 main missions. I'm sure both you, maybe not you, David, yet, but I know, Jeremy, you probably have 3 people that you can hit with your main missions. And as you go on, a couple of those people go into like side missions. So I'm still interested in hearing those people's stories. You know, like you had already said, the voice acting is great. A lot of those characters have very decent motivations that you want to see. So for replayability, I want to finish the main story, and I want to go back, and I want to do a lot of the side quests that I find interesting.
Nice. All right, David, for you, is there replayability? Are you going to continue playing this? You think you're going to put a decent amount of hours into it?
I actually think I am, but I'm honestly going to sit on it and wait until things are, smoother.
Yeah.
But and then I also want to do a side note. Like, there's 3 different starts that you can do in the game: the Badlands guy, the street guy, and the business guy. And I find it funny that all of us picked one of them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Replayability, man. So, full admission, I have been struggling to play this game, and it's not just because of any kind of graphical bug thing, which we can probably talk a little bit about if we've been experiencing that. I think I was saying before about how when the game starts, it inundates you with so much information, and I'm just trying to get my bearings in this thing.
Right.
And that kind of, pushed me off a little bit, took me aback, and I've been trying to get into it. And, I played the mission sequence and I found it interesting. It was fun. It was engaging. But if you're sitting here asking me, you think you're going to put another 20, 30 hours into this thing? I don't know. It's not, put it this way, it's not like Ghost for me. I mean, I know that for Ghost, I could have beat Ghost. I've just been dicking around in the game because I like it so much. But for this, I feel like if I was going to beat it, I would probably go into it like a job. Like, all right, we got to get this much done today, so that way I can at least experience most of what the game has to offer, and then I can be out. And I'd probably do some of the side missions because they're interesting enough. CD Projekt Red always does a good job with side missions. Witcher 3 is a great example of that. But as far as replayability, I don't know. For me, it's a tossy. I might not. I know I will play some more of it, but I don't know if I'm doing another 20, 30 hours or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So we have all that. We can maybe briefly talk about our experience with the bugs. Have bugs or glitches really been an issue with you guys? And what are your feelings on all that stuff going on?
Yeah, so the reason I stopped playing is I got about 4 hours in or whatever, and Jackie, that's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We finished a mission or whatever, and I walked out of the building before him, and now he's stuck in the building, and there's a guard like blocking the door. I can't get back in. So my game progress is done. So I have to redo a checkpoint, which was like 2 hours before that. So I really don't feel like doing that right now. So, like I said, when everything is smoother and people, the game is running better, I'll probably just start over, and because I'll know what I'm doing a little more, and give it a go then. Yeah. But that bug kind of killed it for me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll jump in. The game has been extremely, extremely buggy for me. Now, there's been a lot of like light bugs where it's like, hey, the person's not sitting on the chair all the way, or their cell phone's just floating in the air. Things are popping in. I get stuck in a wall, stuff like that. Stuff that's like not so bad. It's kind of funny. You can laugh at it a little bit. I had a guy, and I posted a video on Twitter. Check out our Twitter. But I posted a video where the guy's leg got stuck in the door, and I was driving down the street, going like 50 miles an hour, and his body kept swinging against the side of the van. It was hilarious. Like those are the kind of bugs I'm all in for, But then you've got other types of bugs that I really hate. Now, a type of bug I really hate is when the HUD, when something gets stuck on there that's not supposed to be on there. When a meter is loading up and you've gone past that part and it's still there right in the middle of your screen. Mm-hmm. Or currently I'm playing where I had to do a mission with a turret. Now the turret controls are on the right side of the screen and it covers, 50% of it. Finish that mission. That thing has not gone away. I don't know if it will, so that's annoying. That actually hurts the gameplay, in my opinion. And I was joking around with you guys, but the best feature in Cyberpunk is it tells me when I'm done playing, because I've gone almost every session where the game has crashed on me. It has crashed in my 30 hours probably about 15 times, 15 to 20, which previously I've never had a game that's crashed even more than like twice. So I'm a pretty even keel guy. Those crashes don't necessarily feel horrible to me. Usually it's after about an hour or so. So I'm like, I guess I'm done. And even if I was, the game loads in quickly enough that I don't feel like it set me back. And the checkpoints and the saves are all auto-save, and they save frequently. So I don't feel like I lose that much progress. But I can see someone else being very, very annoyed by this. And I'm annoyed by it, but the game is fun. So I continue on.
Right. I was going to say that because you said you've never played a game where it crashed more than 2-3 times.
Right.
I would say, welcome to playing a Bethesda game. Okay. And that's exactly what this game is. Interestingly enough, after making The Witcher 3, which was the anti-Bethesda game because it ran pretty well, didn't have a huge amount of bugs or at least game-breaking bugs in it, it appears CD Projekt Red went and gave Papa Tim and everyone at Bethesda a nice little visit and say, hey, how do you guys make your games? Because this game has bugs, game-breaking bugs and other bugs that just don't make sense. I can remember where I parked my car, got out of it. It was parked. I went in to talk to someone that wasn't there, turned around, and it was just levitating. And, as far as the thing of trying to walk into a place, people being stuck in the door, you can't go in. Like you said, having different kind of, enhancements or things that like change or modify the color on your screen. And then it just decides, hey, I just want to chill here the whole time. I'm not going to go away like I'm probably supposed to. So you're going to have a green tint on your screen the whole time. It's like, okay, cool, great. But yeah, it's a Bethesda game. That's what it feels like from a technical standpoint. It feels like I'm playing Skyrim. A very much more beautiful, interesting Skyrim. But that leads us to the final verdict. Was it worth us? Was it worth it? This game came out $60. So for the price tag, do you guys think Cyberpunk 2077 is worth it?
Not at all.
Mm.
I think it will be worth it after, I've said 100 times already, after everything is actually good to go, it's going to be worth however much it's going to be at that point. Like, I don't think it'll probably be 60 anymore, but 50, 40, 30, like, I think it'll be worth your time and your money. But until that happens, I would just avoid it.
Cory, Cyberpunk 2077, was it worth it?
All right, so I told you I have about 30 hours in. You asked me if I would play another 30. I think I would. I'm definitely enjoying the game. Now, this has been a very tough was it worth it for me, because usually when I say, hey, it was worth it, that to me means everyone that's listening, you should buy this game because it's a great game. Now, I'm going to say this game is worth it. Was it worth it? Yes. For me, because I bought it, I'm dealing with the bugs, I'm dealing with the crashes, but if you haven't bought it, you don't have to deal with that stuff. You could just wait and get the game when some DLC is released, when the new patch to make it next gen is released, when all those things are fixed. For me, who already has it, who's playing through it, it's worth it. So I will say, yes, it was worth it.
Nice.
Okay.
We have a fracturing of 1-1 here. I like this. When it comes to Cyberpunk 2077, Jeremy, you
oh my God,
you are saying Cyberpunk is not worth it.
I figured.
And the reason it's not worth it is because 60% of you probably can't run the bleeping game right now. Okay? That's the reason it's not worth it. Most of you guys probably can't play it to the base level expectation of what you believe a game to be able to play or run at. Okay? So I don't know. Somehow Ubisoft was able to make it that Assassin's Creed Valhalla can run on an Xbox One at 30 frames per second. And like straight up now, you try to put it on your Xbox One or your PlayStation 4, it can't even render faces. I don't know how you would even be able to. Now, if you have a PlayStation 5 or Series X or a PC, then is it worth it? That's a little bit more difficult to say, right? Because I have to factor in a bunch of stuff. But overall statement is going to be, is it worth it? $60? No, not right now. I say you take David's advice, you wait it out, you let them figure out how to make games again, you let them forget everything that Bethesda taught them, and then you come back. Because the game potentially, I think the game potentially is worth more than $60.
Yeah, it's going to be the game everyone was waiting for.
It is going to be the game everyone is waiting for.
But
it's just going to take some time.
Yes.
Very much unlike No Man's Sky, where it wasn't the game people were waiting for, and there was nothing in it that told you it would become that. This is a bit different. You can
right.
even if you're looking at the potato face on your Xbox One, I'm sure you can see behind that potato all the potential that's there for this to become an amazing RPG experience.
Right.
So I think maybe if you want to count on potential, you buy it now, but I don't think you reward potential. You reward delivery. You reward what they give you now. You're giving them your $60 now. And for that, I say don't. That is it for Was It Worth It? You guys let us know. Did you pick up Cyberpunk 2070 of the 7? Did you enjoy it? Did you get a potato head guy in your game and now you're mad? Maybe you bought it and got a refund. Maybe you bought it, have a bunch of issues, and you just don't care. Let us know. Let us know. We're going to move on to our next segment. Could you please? Guys, and could you please is very simple. We, simple plebeians, make a very, very honest request of a gaming institution or developer or publisher or something else to please fulfill our request. Please, could you please? Guys, who wants to start this off, or do you want me to take it?
I'll go real quick.
All right, Cory, take it.
All
right. Could you please bring back the greatest zombie multiplayer game of all time? I hear what you guys are thinking. Cory, they just told you about Back 4 Blood.
Right.
That's Left 4 Dead 3. That's what you want, right?
Right.
No. I'm talking about Zombies Ate My Neighbors on the Super Nintendo.
That was such a good game.
Like, that game was Left 4 Dead before Left 4 Dead. It was 80s. It was pulpy. It was fun. You had unique weapons. You had unique monsters. They took you through a neighborhood and then a mall and then a pyramid. There was a giant 50-foot baby you had to fight. Like, this game was just pure, just fun. Cool weapons, cool monsters, cool environments. Hard as heck. Like, it was a very tough game. Cool box art. The box art actually made me not ever rent the game back in the day for like years and years because it was really creepy. But yeah, bring back that box art. I want Zombies Ate My Neighbors 2. Simple. That's it.
You know what, Cory? This may be the best take you've ever had on this
Really?
show. Yeah, it may be the best.
Wow, one. You please
share
me.
You put that
at the end of the year recap video
sure.
thing that you did. Okay,
sure.
Cool. Best take I ever had. Yes,
one level out of
after the show.
Like 50.
No. Forget those. This is 2021.
No,
I'm starting off
this year.
Oh, okay. Yes. With the best
1 out of 50. Be worth it.
You guys have played this then. Jeremy, you've at least played it.
Yeah.
I played it. Yeah, I played it.
Okay, it's a great game, right?
Yeah. I said that
cool.
as soon as you said it, I was like, that's a good game.
I was in my zone.
Oh, so. I know. We're used to it.
Yeah.
Understandable. I'll go next, I guess.
Take it away.
Game Awards and other places. Could you please not award best game direction to games that require their people to crunch for multiple months? Now, I kind of saw this being this idea or the sentiment being made by Ian Walker over at the Kotaku, or Kotaku, if you want to say it properly. And I agree completely with it. You know, one of the things that was awarded best game direction was The Last of Us Part 2. And they had to crunch like crap to get that game done after even delaying it and stuff. That's not good game direction. I don't see how, you know, if you're working in a place and the project runs over budget or it's going to run dangerously close to being late, and therefore you force your employees to work ridiculous hours, or suggest that they work ridiculous hours in order to make it meet the deadline. That's not good game direction. There were other games that were just as good in respect to that game that didn't require people to crunch, that didn't require them to miss a lot of time from their families and friends during the pandemic. And they got shafted. That's I would could you please not award that to game companies that practice that stuff? So that includes Naughty Dog, which is notorious for doing it. That includes CDPR right now, right? That includes heck, if Bethesda does it, they have all my favorite IPs. If they crunch people for Skyrim for Elder Scrolls 6, even if it's my favorite game of all time, I don't want you to do that. That includes Rockstar. They crunch people for Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto and all that stuff. Don't do it. It's lame, and it helps further, I think, suppress the voices that's been growing in the gaming industry to end crunching because it's an immoral labor practice.
It's hard facts. Hard facts.
I want to get into it. You know what, Jeremy? I'll say that your opinion is it's valid. It is a valid opinion. But in these type of entertainment industries, people sacrifice time to make the best product they can. And that's up to the individual person to decide if they want to crunch or not. Now, I know they're probably getting pressured from the higher ups, but I mean, you do have a choice on where you work. Now, to me, game direction should be given to the director who makes the best game. And that was Last of Us 2, and he should have won.
Well, right, but it's not subjective. It's subjectively the best game of the year. And right. you could make the argument that the other games that were listed, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, they were as good in respect to that, but some of those other games didn't force people to crunch. And then most of those games didn't make the guy that made people crunch. It didn't promote them in the company. It's a very weird move by Naughty Dog.
I don't know. It's just tough. Like, crunch is such a polarizing word in the game industry. What does that mean? Does that mean 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week? Does that only mean 45 hours a week? What's it mean to crunch? Well, how many hours were the developers working? Do we know those numbers?
I think crunch is defined as is forcing or suggesting someone work hours that are more than necessary or more that is I guess productive or good for their mental health. That's what I think crunch is. That's up to the person.
That's why you can't wrangle it up and say, hey, this person was crunching or this is not. This is up to the individual person. Now, the company probably has to do a better job of saying, hey, these are our guidelines for crunch, but you don't know what that individual can handle. We heard Red Dead Redemption 2, those writers saying we were working 100-hour weeks, and those were the top brass of Rockstar, and they were fine with it.
Yeah, because they own stakes in the company.
Right, and that was their choice. So I don't know, like, how many people from Naughty Dog are coming out and saying, listen, we did not want to do this at all.
A lot of them.
Are they? A lot of them.
I saw articles about it.
A lot of them. And this includes the devs. This includes, because you also have to remember, a lot of the devs and QA testers, they're also contract people. They're not regular employees of the game company. So when you're suggesting that a QA tester works 60 to 80 hours a week, you know, like, or even if they say, well, look, this is the expectation, this is the usual practice. If the usual expectation is a 40-hour work week, that's pretty standard here in America. Mm-hmm. If that's what it is, if someone considers 41 hours, 42 hours, 43 hours more than what they can handle for their mental health, that's crunch. And you say, okay, I can't push you past that thing. That means I bring in more people because I'm contracting them anyway. So as soon as the project is over, I cut them off. I'm not giving them benefits. I'm not giving them any severance, right? And then you just go from there. There's plenty of people trying to break into the gaming industry, and a lot of them start as QA testers. So especially from that aspect, there's no lack of resources or a pool of talent to pull from.
Now, I'll say previous level, I had a pretty hot take about crunch. And I'm not going to bring that back up. I would just say that until we can define crunch fully, it's really hard to put stipulations on awards or what's overboard. Because like you said, 41 hours could be someone's crunch number. But until we define that to an exact point for each individual, I mean, how can you even say anything? Like, it could even be a situation where Neil Druckmann's like, hey, we got to get this out. And the people feel pressured, but he doesn't necessarily come out and say, hey, you've got to work this many hours. Because these people don't want to lose their job. And they come out afterward. It's just tough. You don't know.
I'll say this then. That's maybe a benefit of the doubt. I can afford another company. I can't afford that to Naughty Dog because they're infamous for this type of practice.
That's fair. And like I said, you have a very valid point. I just want to, I guess, define crunch a little more.
Right. That makes perfect sense. All right, David. What's your could you please?
Okay, so I did look it up. Crunching is a period just before launch when workers are expected to put in 100-hour work weeks with no extra pay.
And I do not
that's
think
crunching.
So
there is a definition.
Okay, but if they had to work 100 hours with no extra pay, I would say 100% that man should not win game direction. But I can almost guarantee those workers did not work 100-hour weeks with no extra pay.
I'm just saying.
And I'm saying I can guarantee that's not what happened.
All right.
And Jeremy,
all right.
He won it and he got promoted. That's absurd.
Neil Druckmann?
Yeah. If you want to get promoted, Neil Druckmann, you come out with Crash Team Racing 2. You don't do this nonsense where you're crunching people. Okay.
Actually,
you save that for your final thoughts, David.
Actually, no. My could you please is now that they're done with The Last of Us, can you guys go back to Jak and Daxter 4? Because that was canceled to start The Last of Us, which I 100% appreciate because that is one of my top favorite games ever. So I'm not even upset about it. But now that you're done, with part 2, maybe can you get back into it?
They can't.
Could you please?
They got way too big time.
Yeah.
They are Oscar baiting. That's what they're doing. Right. And Jak 4 is not an Oscar movie. It's a fun popcorn.
It could be. If they do it right.
I don't know if you're not going to pull a God of War 2018 with Jak, okay? But
you don't know that.
But I appreciate it. I just don't think Naughty Dog will be the company to do it. I think someone else could do it for sure. Not them.
Even then, have someone else do it.
Cool.
Have someone buy the rights. I just want a Jak Daxter 4.
Well, that's fair. I just think Naughty Dog won't do it.
Here's because I'm asking for Crash Team Racing 2. I'm asking for a sequel to the greatest kart racing game ever made, and even that's a stretch at this point. So I don't know.
Especially since F-Zero is a Nintendo game.
I don't know if they'd be willing to jump back into it. So yeah, Jak and Daxter 4 though. I'm down with it. I want that to happen.
I think they dropped Dexter in 3. It was just Jak 3. So I think we just do Jak 4.
It was. It could come back. Who knows?
Dexter doesn't have the respect Clank has. Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, they made another Ratchet and Clank.
That's because Insomniac, and this is a gaming gospel, they are the best developers for consumers.
Didn't you say that about CDR?
I've been saying that for days.
Right.
So
the days, I'm glad the days you haven't been talking to us. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, the days. I've been saying that for days. They're the best consumer-friendly developer.
To who? Yourself?
I mean, I love them. I do love Insomniac games, and they always release free costumes for Spider-Man. So I'm all about them.
Oh, there it is. That's why. All right. Well, I think Could You Pleases are done.
Our Could You Pleases are done, which brings us to our first indie spotlight of the year. And our indie spotlight for the year is going to be for a little game, even though I don't really know how little it is now, but, a very unique indie called Space Engineers. Now, you guys may be saying Space Engineers. That sounds like a very intriguing yet generic name. And I would say you're right. But let me tell you about it. So Space Engineers developed by a company, because I can't remember the developer's name right now. It's basically a space exploration building game. So I would say think No Man's Sky, except good, meets Minecraft, right? So what you do is everything you're building out of these blocks, and you have to build everything out of these blocks. And you need to build certain structures and certain vehicles out of these blocks to get more resources to make more blocks to build other things. It's a fantastic premise. Now, why are you doing all of this? Because you're trying to get to space. It's space engineers. So King Software, that's the developer, right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
All right.
Good thing you thought about that all on your own.
Exactly. No help whatsoever.
No help.
So yes. So what you do is you have your little space engineer guy. You're in a suit. Your suit has oxygen, and it has, I want to say, hydrogen or something that allows you to propel your jetpack, because your guy has a jetpack. You can hover, you can fly around in your jetpack, but you need to build these other things to help sustain you. So it's essentially has these survival elements in it, right? You build a structure and it has a refinery in it. So you may have to go harvest rock or stone or something to create the block or the ceiling or the component you need to build a space station or to build a drill, right? So you put these blocks together and you build yourself a drilling vehicle, and that drilling vehicle, you can put storage blocks on it and you can store more of what you've been harvesting. So instead of you spending hours trying to harvest stuff by hand, you just built your own drilling machine and you can go and get way more. So you're just progressively building these larger things of self-sustainability until you're able to build a ship. Now, there's multiple ships. So, like I said, space engineers. So obviously you have ships that go to space. But first, what you might need is a ship to traverse the planet, because the planets have been approximated almost in like their real size. So you can land on Earth. Now, I don't know if you guys know how big Earth is, but it's effing enormous. And in this game, Earth is effing enormous. And so you can fly around to various different locales, regions, and situations. You know, you might run into aliens or these combatant drones that sometimes can pop up, especially if you have different mods you can have installed on there if you're playing on PC. It is also on Xbox. You can get it there too. But yes, so you can do that stuff. And when you're building components, you build them, you slap them onto your ship, and that's how you're able to fly into space. Now, one thing I'm leaving out that is very important about this game, it's a sandbox game, obviously, but it's physics-based. So your builds can't be jank, right? So if you want to build a ship that can hover and then take off into space, when you build the thrusters and put them on your block ship, they better be in the right area. Else, you're going to be screwing yourself and flying right into an ocean, okay? Everything's you have to account for the physics. If you're creating something that maybe picks up items and then drops it into some kind of craft that you take around to carry things, right? You better make sure that your craft is lined up well with whatever your crane is, and that it drops it at the exact same inertia or G-force or whatever it is, so that when it gets in there, everything works correctly. Because if it doesn't, you might break the back of your transport, then the front of it goes down, and then boom goes the dynamite, right? So you have to account for physics in all these ways. When you get into that stuff, it gets really nerdy and meticulous. But it's kind of the minutia of all that stuff where it gets really fun if you're into nerdy stuff like that. You may be, you may not be. This game appeals to a very particular person, and I appear to be that particular person. They recently came out with some DLC that adds a bunch of different stuff. They're constantly adding content to the game, and it's super fun. If you're on the Earth planet and you fly up in space, you can fly to the moon, and then you can start harvesting stuff from the moon and taking it back to Earth. And again, if you're going to go fly to Earth, you better have where your base is marked, because it's Earth and there's a lot of it. So you want to make sure you fly to where you are and not anywhere else. It is a game that you can easily get overwhelmed by, I got over the first time I played it, I got overwhelmed. And I was like, I can't do it. And I turned it off. And I eventually went back in. I took my time, really started to learn how everything works, learn how to strip down elements, how to build different components. And when I realized that it rewarded me for not just building things, but thinking about how I built the things, that's when I really started to have a lot of fun with it. Space Engineers, Keen Software, deserves an indie spotlight. And I am glad to recommend this game. If I had to look it up on Steam right now, which I can do because we are on computers, I believe it's what, 25? When I bought it, it was around $20. I think it may be 25 on Steam as well as on Xbox.
It's 20 right now.
Nice. Yes. So I say it's $20. It's also $20 on Steam. If it's, I think it's a $20 well spent. You're supporting an indie company that's making a really great, interesting game. There's like a really great community around this game. And the mods are super fun. You can have mods that make things more dangerous. There's a survival mode where you can enable permadeath. So you can do all this work. And then if you drop a block on you because you're an idiot, you die, and then you just lose everything. It's a really fun game. So Space Engineers, almost at Space Invaders, which is a classic.
That is a classic.
It's a classic game. But Space Engineers, $20, Steam and Xbox. Check it out. But that is it for the indie spotlight. Glad to give them and that game and Keen Software a shout out. And we're going to move on to our final thoughts, where we give one last thought or point we want to make about anything, whether it pertains to what we've been talking about in this episode or something completely random. Who would like to give their final thought?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay.
All right, so right now I am playing this online elimination game my friend put together. It's called Cyberpunk'd, and it started with 24 of us, and now we're down to 18, I think. It's the challenges are online games. Like we played Hatchball and we played some Jack in the Box games. We were divided into 4 teams or 6, and the team that's in last place has to get rid of one of their people. So it's really fun. We're averaging 50 viewers right now on Twitch every day. If you guys want to come watch it, it's Cybernaut_official on Twitch. And there's a Discord and everything. You'll find the links there as well. Come watch me destroy people, because my team's winning right now.
Nice. Very nice.
Not bad, David. I'll go next. Obviously we just had a big Christmas break, or at least some of us did. I had over a week off. So I watched a lot of movies during that time. So I want to kind of give you guys a quick review of all the movies I watched. I watched Rocketman, which is the story of Elton John. I thought it was great. I will give that one a 9. I then watched Wonder Woman on Christmas Day, and I was not so impressed. Wonder Woman 84, I should say.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Yeah, that gets a 6 out of 10. Just okay, not my favorite at all. And then I watched Soul on Disney Plus, which is the newest Pixar movie. It was a very good movie. I give that an 8. And then I watched the Broadway play Hamilton. I had not seen it yet, and I give that a wonderful out of 10. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed my time with it.
That's
it. That's it.
That's your final thought?
Yeah, for movie reviews.
Okay.
I mean, what should I say? I mean, that was. I don't pick on your final thoughts.
I was just making sure that was it.
Okay.
Just making sure.
All right. Wrong foot we're starting on. Go on.
Okay. Hey, look, you're the one that decided to do numbers except for the last one, and then use the word. Okay.
Wonderful. It's wonderful.
So if anyone's throwing this off, it's you, buddy.
Okay, go on.
All right. My final thought is what was it? I got distracted by Cory's Hamilton. My final thought is yes, I got a Boba Fett Lego head that I had to put together for Christmas, and I completed doing it yesterday.
Sweet.
And it looks super legit.
Is it life size? Can you wear it?
No.
But we need pictures of it. You need to post that on the Facebook.
Post it. Yeah.
On the TikTok, on the Twitter. What's our other socials?
Everything.
Okay.
YouTube.
Okay. It's it's an interesting thing because I didn't tell Cory what to do with his final thought, right? He just kind of went along with it. And
I
was just kind of talking about how much fun it was to have a Boba Fett helmet, especially after spoilers, whatever, I don't care. After seeing him in Mando, it was great. Yep. It was fantastic. So I got to do that. He has a little hinge that comes down for the rocket, pew, shoots it, and different stuff like that. Well, he doesn't shoot the rocket in the Lego thing. In the show he does. But yes, it was super cool. Very appreciative of that gift for my girlfriend. She got it for me. So that's dope. Nice. That is it for final
Did you
thoughts.
watch all of Mando? Have you seen it all?
I've seen it all. Dude, that last episode,
it was fantastic.
Fantastic.
The whole season was fantastic.
Yes.
Much better than season 1. And I thought season 1 was good. So
yeah. But that last episode for season 2, easily the best episode.
I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I can imagine it hit Star Wars people like no one's business.
Bro. They used his face.
Oh, let's not go into.
I didn't say who.
And that is it for level 19 of the Thoughts and Players Gaming Podcast.
That is it
if
for
you
level
like
19.
What you heard.
Right. That's it for level 19 of the Thoughts and Players Podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast service. We are on the Spotify's. We are on the Google and the Apple and the iHeart and the Stitcher and the TuneIn and everywhere else. Also, make sure that you can like the pod. Make sure that you like the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/Thoughts and Players, all one word, as well as on Instagram at thoughts.players. We have our YouTube where we post clips and full video episodes. We also have our Twitter at ThoughtsPlayers2. Really interesting stuff being put up there. There's video of a dog just barking. Yeah. As well as our TikTok where we put little clips, memes, spicy snippets. Had the fortune today of watching David piss off someone.
Yeah, comment on it. Oh my god.
And so that was very fun. David was the villain of this trio today on TikTok. Surprisingly enough, I know what you guys are thinking. I would expect that would be Cory.
Be Cory.
But yeah, I would expect that to be Cory. You're telling me Cory wasn't a doucher on TikTok? No, it was David. Surprisingly enough, can't believe it. So check us out there. Follow us on TikTok, and make sure you avoid David's rage because he is on there and he is on a rampage.
I will come for you.
That's it. That is it for us. We appreciate you listening, and we will catch you on the next level.
Peace.